National Stock Exchange of India has been actively involved with initiatives to educate the young generation of our country on the importance of financial management. One such initiative is NSE Fin Wiz that focuses on educating and advising the young workforce of the country on wealth management to enhance financial literacy and to empower
Insurance is for protection and investment is for growth.
Another program facilitated by NSE IPFT is NSE Financial Quest. This inter-school financial quiz contest goes an extra mile by educating the young students on fundamentals of finance.
On the buzzer, what is this? It's the formula for the simple interest. Simple interest is the right answer.
Under the NSE Financial Quest Base Camps banner, the program engages students around the year through workshops on various topics, projects, interactive videos and quizzes.
DiCaprio is bouncing checks of Pan Am.
Plus 75 on that one. Plus 75.
To facilitate these two programs, NSE along with CNBC TV18 has travelled across the country to bridge the wide knowledge gap in terms of finance. In this episode of NSE Fin Wiz, we are all set to achieve our objectives once again by gauging young professionals in a new city.
Hello and welcome to Season 4 of NSE Fin Wiz, powered by CNBC TV18, and I'm your host Nithya Balakrishnan. Today my team and I have travelled to the southernmost part of the country. We're at Sipcot IT Park in the Kanchipuram district, just miles off Chennai, in the sprawling green campus of one of the country's most formidable IT players, Syntel in Chennai.
A leading provider of IT and knowledge process outsourcing solutions, Syntel caters to its clients globally across various sectors. In 2010, the company inaugurated the first phase of its 27-acre technology campus in Chennai. Syntel's philosophy of customer for life is not just for its clients, but the employees too. The professionals are engaged in various learning initiatives to help them grow in their respective careers.
A lot of our employees are engineering graduates, primarily focused on technology and careers, but not necessarily on the financial side of it. We want our employees to plan for their future, major events like marriage and buying houses, and also retirement. Right? So we want them to be educated, understand the options that they have, and make their informed decisions.
NSE Fin Wiz visited the Chennai campus of Syntel with the experts to understand the employees' view on financial planning and wealth management with the theme Dreams Come True.
Financial literacy means, suppose you're working in an organization and you get some income. It's all about the planning for your future purpose. How do you manage that economy?
Whatever I'm earning now today, maybe over a period of time it will get increased, my salary, my income through other sources. But I want to ensure that even at the time of retirement, I'm getting the same salary which I'm able to live beyond my inflation.
Mid-term goal which I have is my son's education, and the long-term goal which I have is at the age of 50 I should run a business with whatever the corpus fund which I build upon.
Hello and welcome to Season 4 of NSE Fin Wiz, powered by CNBC TV18, and I'm your host Nithya Balakrishnan. And for this very special episode, I'm joined by two guests, Kalpesh Ashar, Certified Financial Planner. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And of course, Mehrab Irani. Thank you so much. Mehrab is from Tata Investment Corporation, and more importantly, he's also the author of two books, Mad Money Journey and 10 Commandments for Financial Freedom. So we have two very special guests here, Kalpesh and Mehrab, who will be talking Financial Literacy 101 to all of us present here at Syntel today. My first question to you, Kalpesh, if I can ask you, we're at that time where wealth management is simply no longer enough. You're talking about a youth that's raring to go on all fronts. We want to make money, we want to live life to the fullest. So wealth management is one thing, but what are your tips for wealth creation, and how early in life should you talk about investing and actually making sure your money multiplies?
Okay, so that's a very relevant question in today's times, and we all know that India is raring to go and it's emerging as a very strong economy in the world, and we all should not be left behind as individuals in creating our own wealth for our future. And this is precisely where financial planning comes to the fore. And if you say financial planning, many people have a lot of wrong ideas about financial planning. What financial planning basically says, and I would like to add the word personal here, because it's personal financial planning and it's meant for a particular individual, it's customized. So if you find that you are earning a certain amount of money, you also have to see your life goals along with it. Because you just cannot keep on earning money with just letting your profession grow. You have to make a financial well-being out of it. And in personal financial planning, basically if you see, there are certain steps which we have to imbibe in the whole process. And in that, the process is so beautifully laid out that it captures every particular aspect of a person's finances.
Absolutely. In fact, the power of compounding is something that I'd like to get your views across on as well, Mehrab. But before that, how many of us here set aside an X amount every month towards savings or investment? How many of us have done it since the day we got our first salary? How many of us invest directly in the equity markets? Through mutual funds? Any other forms of investment, real estate, gold, anything else? Mehrab, if I can ask you, you did see the show of hands. And while people do start investing, the power of compounding, that awareness to start investing early is not something that everybody is inherently accumulated. If I can ask you, how important is it when you talk about financial planning, and why is it that there is a delay? Is there some, discrepancy where you could think a professional actually helps? Because starting something like this on your own is not something that's everybody's cup of tea. It requires a lot of time and effort. The role of a certified financial planner or any kind of a financial assistance professionally on this front.
Today, if you see, inflation is continuously eating into our net worth, it is eating into our wealth. So, just assume that today your monthly expense is around 25,000 rupees. At a normal long-term inflation rate of say 7%, after 30 years, say today you are around 30 years and you retire at the age of 60. So, after around 30 years, your same monthly expense at 7% would become 2 lakh rupees per month. So, it's very important to start early, and then the power of compounding will play in your favor.
Fair enough. Kalpesh, do you have any specific vehicles when you talk about tools of investment? Any come to your mind as top 3 or top 5?
So again, we go back to the textbook of financial planning, and we look at it that what is actually the right medium for a particular individual. And we go into a risk profile of an individual. And the risk profile also depends on certain factors in which the individual's life is going through. He might not be wanting to take a particular risk at that point of time due to certain reasons. But a simple layman answer to that is, for beginners, there is no better investment vehicle than a mutual fund. Because through a mutual fund, you get a full opportunity to tap the capital markets, be it in the non-risk, which is the fixed income category, or in the risk part, the equity category, and the benefits of mutual funds are manifold.
Absolutely. In fact, on that note, it's time to slip into a quick breather right here on NSE Fin Wiz. But stay tuned. We're going to be in conversation with Kalpesh and Mehrab on the other side. And this time, throw the spotlight on the yellow metal. Come right back. Welcome back to Season 4 of NSE Fin Wiz. We're here in Chennai, and clearly we're talking about a place which is obsessed of sorts with the yellow metal. The yellow metal fever or gold fever is something, Kalpesh and Mehrab, which is prevalent in this part of the country. And whether you like it or not, whether you term it as a good investment or not, the wedding season in India is never really off. And when you talk about wedding, and when you talk about saving up, and when you talk about investment, gold seems to be priority for a lot of people here. My first question to you is, physical gold or paper gold, because that seems to be a big debate these days.
Okay, so I'll simplify it. Physical gold for looking good and paper gold for investing. And the typical Indian mindset is that gold can never be sold. So that is a big, I would not say a positive, but a dampener when it comes to asset allocation. Because in asset allocation, we are looking at balancing the whole portfolio. So when you ask somebody to sell physical gold, there are a lot of eyebrows raised on that. So if you really want to have gold with you as a family, as an individual, let that be in the form of jewelry, look good. But if you want to invest in gold, like what Nitya said, paper gold, and now we've got a lot of options. In fact, government has thrown open a lot of schemes right now. So you have the conventional gold ETFs, which you can do through, if you have a demat account or something, buy that units straight from the exchanges. You have gold mutual funds, which again let you do a monthly investment, and you buy gold-based mutual funds. You have the sovereign gold bond scheme, which government has already got into 3 tranches so far, and it comes with a 5-year, 7-year lock-in period, and you also get 2.75% interest on that, which is not heard of before. So like we were telling, it doesn't yield any returns. Now government has put an incentive on that of giving 2.75 annual return on it. And even when you sell it on maturity, the capital gains are tax-free. So that's the sovereign gold bond scheme. Then they have the gold monetization scheme, so which is basically give your gold and they melt it and they give you physical certificates for it to hold the gold. So that is pure investment in gold. And even government is now discouraging people to hold physical gold. That's why they want gold now in the format of paper.
Well, Mehrab, if I can get you into this discussion, even though there are X options available towards the paper gold format, when you talk about what a lot of us in this part of the country do, it is go sign up to a jeweler for a monthly, almost chit fund kind of mechanism, where you put in an X amount every month, and say 10 years from now, you can convert that into the jewelry of your choice. Talk to us about whether you would vote for such an investment or against such an investment.
I would not actually vote for such an investment, because it is not an investment, it's a consumption. If you are buying gold for a specific goal, say after 5 or 10 years, if you want to accumulate some amount of gold for your child's marriage or something like that, then it's a good scheme. But if you are buying from an investment angle, it's purely not a good scheme. You have to understand that yes, gold is a real asset, and we all feel good when we hold gold in our hand and we see it. But when we are buying jewelry, it's not an investment. Almost 15-20% goes in making charges, and there are a lot of other deductions also. So when you buy physical gold, what are the advantages? That yes, it's a real gold, but there are a lot of disadvantages, that you have to incur storage costs for it. You have to either take a bank locker and pay rent for it, or do your own storage for it, insurance for it. So all that incurs a lot of cost for it. On the other hand, if you just buy a gold ETF, it's in an electronic form. There is no storage cost, there is no worry about theft or anything, nothing. Only a small amount of management fees is charged by the mutual funds, but you get the full return of a gold.
In fact, let me ask Srinath, who's a senior business analyst in the insurance department at Syntel, whose query is very simple. Srinath, if you can get up and identify yourself.
I have invested in ETF as an alternative to physical gold, but I observed that the difference between the NAV of the ETF I have put my money into and the gold rate is, the difference is steadily increasing. Is it not advisable to put in gold ETF, because we will not be able to get the same amount of gold which I would have bought now at a future date? You see, my aim is to have certain amount of gold at certain point of time in future. Please advise an alternative if this is not suitable. Thank you.
See, 1 unit of a gold ETF is equal to 1 gram of gold. The difference may sometimes be there because of maybe some dividend might be accumulated or something might be there in the scheme, which they might have distributed. Also because of some management fees, which may be a very small amount. I don't think, or some tracking error, but I don't think the difference will be very huge. And as I said earlier, I think if you want to accumulate gold over longer term, then ETF is the best route to accumulate with no storage cost and minimum expenses.
Absolutely. In fact, Kalpesh, if I can ask you to just shed some light on the gold monetization scheme, because one query from Sentamarai Kannan, who works in the insurance department here, his query is, how do you channelize inherited gold assets into better investment? You already have that inherited physical gold asset. How can you now ensure that it's better investment, which can be, continued to retain as gold and also increase returns?
Okay, so basically if you've inherited that gold, government has this brilliant scheme of gold monetization, where you take it take that physical gold to the certified centers which the government has opened, and they melt it. So that is a little bit of an emotional process for many Indians, that your gold is being melted, but you will have to go with a heavy heart. And once that process has been done, there is the certain benchmark rates which are put. At that particular rate, the center issues you a certificate, and it is done in front where you are going, in front of you, and there is probably no chance of any seepage or something of that sort which people generally fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you don't have that fear, and that gold is then given into the form of a physical certificate to you. So probably if you just don't want to see that physical gold and put it in the right resource, that is the better way of looking at it. Now answering that question further, if you want to increase the returns, all these certificates come with a certain time frame.
Sure.
So those are a medium time frame, long term time frame, and if your orientation over the time frame has shifted out of gold, then when you capitalize that money after that end of that time frame, that money is now your own valid money, and that you can put it into financial assets, thereby increasing the returns.
Well, on that note, it's time to take another quick breather right here on Season 4 of NSE Fin Wiz. But stay tuned, we have a whole host of personal finance questions to be answered with Mehrab and Kalpesh on the other side. Welcome back in conversation with Kalpesh and Mehrab. It's time to throw the floor open to questions of young professionals here at Syntel in Chennai.
My question is about my short-term goal. Like I want to go for higher education within 2 years, and my monthly investment is about 6,000 rupees. So, like we talked about many investment plans here, SIP, equity, and all. I want to ask, like, which is the best investment plan for me so that I am able to accumulate a corpus which will help me to fund me for the higher education. I want to avoid loans.
Yeah, see, since your objective is only about 2 years, which is like close to short to medium term, I think your majority should be allocated towards debt kind of investments, maybe in debt mutual funds. You can go little bit higher on duration, maybe you can go for short-term debt mutual funds, and little bit maybe still, because you have a 2-year horizon, I would say that maybe 10 to 15% of your portfolio you can still allocate towards equity, and once you are closer to your goal, I think slowly you must transfer that out of equity into debt. But yet your major portion should be in something related to fixed income investments, because that is the only option which you have, since your objective is quite small, which is within 2 years.
I'm thinking of getting married 2 to 3 years down the line. So what sort of investment would you suggest me to have a handsome amount at the end of 3 years with a moderate risk capacity? I would not like to invest in somewhere with a high risk. So what sort of investment I should go for?
Okay. So that's a very specific goal, I presume. So 3 years, we term it as a medium term time frame, and whatever the amount you decide to invest, I would suggest put 50% of that in short term debt funds, and the balance 50% you put in equity based balance funds. So short term debt funds 50% for a 3-year period, because after 3 years that will be more tax efficient than an FD.
Sure.
And you would surely get a couple of % returns higher than a bank FD also. And the balance 50% is in equity based balance funds, which will give you that alpha to probably get a better return on the overall portfolio. So if you decide to invest 10,000, 5,000 in each of them on a monthly basis for the next 3 years, you could start investing.
Thank you so much, Mehrab and Kalpesh, for joining us today and talking really about not just wealth management but wealth creation and the importance of that, throwing the spotlight on the yellow metal fever here in this part of the country. It's been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for watching.
Today's session was pretty great. I mean, the panelists gave a lot of clarity on investment, not just on gold but different investment options. Okay. And they were pretty great in answering all the questions, so it was pretty good.
Initially I used to invest only in equity and fixed income, so after today's session I realized even gold is a good form of investing your money, so I would like to start investing in gold as well.
I will certainly invest more wisely is what I feel, and different options like investing in mutual funds and then gold ETF and then the monetization plan and all this added to my armory, and it's certainly helpful.